going on, everybody? Grim Repair. Today I'm going to show you how to change out a brake hose. This is going to be probably mostly for vehicles that were made before probably about 2000. Some of the newer stuff, you need special scanners to activate ABS pumps and things like that, and it won't cover every vehicle. It's going to cover most of them. First thing we're going to do is jack the vehicle up. Get a jack stand. We're going to remove the wheel. And of course, you're always going to want to use jack stands, safety glasses, and gloves. But definitely for brake fluid, you don't want it on you. You don't want it in your eye. It's the calipers on this side. I'm going to go inside and turn the wheel that way just to make it easier to work on. And this here going to the caliper is the brake line. I went ahead and sprayed penetrating oil on the bleeder screw, the banjo bolt, and up here on this fitting back here on the back side of the brake hose. The older your vehicle, some of these can be stuck to the line, and it may break the line. And these usually they like to round off on the heads, so you might need a pair of vice grips to get that off. You want to use these line wrenches on brake line like that. It gives it a little more grip. A regular wrench will definitely slip off of that and round the heads. Brake lines can fail in a couple ways. They can leak with age or misuse. They can actually get clogged up inside and they turn into a valve, and then your caliper won't retract when you let off the brake. The way you can check to see if it's a bad caliper or a brake hose is open up this bleeder screw and try to compress the piston here. If it compresses, you know your caliper is not seized up, and it's probably the brake line that's causing that problem. Another thing they can do is they can actually balloon up when you push on the brake, and it'll give you a real spongy feel, and your brakes won't work very well. These ones are fine. I'm just replaced them because they're kind of old. This truck's 30 years old, and they're eventually going to fail, and I would rather just do it now than be stuck somewhere. So I'm going to go ahead and pinch this line since we're going to get rid of it and replace it. Keeps a little bit less from leaking out while we're working on it. You're also going to want to put a towel or a oil pan down and throw the towel away when you're done with it. Another thing you want to keep in mind, brake fluid will eat paint, so don't touch any painted surfaces with it. I'm going to remove this banjo bolt here. And there should be 2 copper washers that come with your brake hose. Make sure they're in there. That's what seals it. One goes on this side of the brake hose, and another one goes here in between the banjo bolt and the fitting. And this one's stuck here on the bolt, so I'm just going to take a small flathead and it slides right off. Clean this bolt up, spray it with a little bit of brake clean. Make sure that line isn't clogged up in there. And we're also going to spray here on the caliper. Give it a good clean mating surface for those washers. And there's a clip here that is holding this to this bracket, keep it from moving around. I like to use a pair of needle nose vice grips to remove those. They can be kind of stuck, but you want to leave that on until you loosen up the brake line first. In my case, this here is a 14 millimeter, and because I'm looking at the back side of it, it's going to look like I'm tightening it, but I'm loosening it. Oh, that went well. As long as it didn't round off and it actually loosened. It felt like it loosened, and it did. So we're going to go ahead and remove that. All right, that one's loose. I'm going to grab this clip. And it pulls out. Now this line is going to pop out of there. Got the new line here. I want to compare, make sure that they're very similar. And again, make sure it came with those copper washers. And this here is notched for this bracket so that it it locks into place. I'm going to put this in there and tighten that up and get it started. You don't want to force it. You don't want to cross thread this brake fitting here before I lock that clip back in there and lock this down. Just kind of turn it by hand, move this around a little so that it guides itself in and you're not forcing it. Alright, got it started. I'll slide this clip down over there. I'm going to tap it down. Use your crescent hammer. And now we can tighten that back up. Make sure you don't clamp the new hose. Some fluid may leak out, but you don't want to clamp this hose. It can ruin it. So one copper washer is going to go on this side. And another one on this side. And when you tighten this down, those copper washers are going to get smashed, and that's what's going to seal it. I'm going to line this up with the notch in the caliper and just get it started by hand. Make sure you got this on there the right way, the same way it came off, going away from the wheel. Make sure that the hose is long enough also, otherwise when you turn the wheel it might pull it out. Just gonna snug that up. Next we're gonna bleed the brakes. I'm gonna do that with a brake fluid bleeder. You should probably go watch a video on how to bleed your brakes. I'll link it up here, but you can do it without this tool also if you have somebody help you. Basically, you want them to pump the brakes, hold the pedal down, loosen this bleeder screw, tighten it back up, and then they can release the pedal and start all over again. Just keep pumping it until no air bubbles are coming out and you got a good firm pedal. And when you're doing all the hoses on the car, you want to start with the one that's farthest away from the master cylinder. You don't want to let the master cylinder run dry, so make sure you keep the brake fluid topped off. Otherwise you're going to get air in the line from the other end and you're going to draw this whole process out a lot longer. And that's it. I5, you did it. Thanks for watching.